Josh Wilbur, Carol Ann Rogers, Owen McCall,
Present.
Mike Pittman, Sandy Palmer,
Here.
Michael Zink, Ken McWilliams.
I move we accept the minutes from July as submitted.
Do a second?
Carol Ann Rogers? We're approving minutes. Okay. Owen McCall,
Approve.
Mike Pittman, and Sandy Palmer.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to welcome everybody again. Tonight's meeting, give you a little bit of background on how we do these. You've all submitted applications to Brooke. What we're gonna do is
The first one is going to be 627 Walnut Street.
627 Walnut Street.
And I apologize, I'm gonna have to skip through some slides real quick.
It's all right. It's all right. It's okay tomorrow.
There we go.
My name is Ron Bateman, and my address is 204 Plum, Madison.
This structure is our survey listed as a circa 1848, but we do know the construction date is 1844. It is a side gabled, or at the time of the survey, was listed as a side gabled single pen. It's zoned historic district residential. The COA request is to return the fire damaged structure to the original 1844 footprint and design. So you can see the survey photo was taken prior to the fire damage. And then we have some historic photos showing similar homes of the style as what would have been the 1844 original footprint. This drawing actually shows the 1844 footprint of the Archibald Taylor residence with the 1880s addition that was added onto the front or to our east side. These are proposed floor plans. Elevations. And that is all I have. So I will go back to this unless the board wants something else.
Okay. Ron, do you have anything to add?
Well, it's a project. It was, as you know, the house caught fire and was badly damaged, and there was a lot of talk about tearing it down. And we decided, well, let's clean it out first and see what's there. So we did, and in the process of tearing out all the bad remodeling, we discovered the second house inside. And the second house inside is a timber frame, a true light timber frame, where every stud is mortised and tenon into a sill beam or a head beam. And because of that, we can tell by looking at where the mortises are, we can tell where every window is or should be, where every door was. We can tell where the original stairs were. It's kind of a research project. We're still discovering, I think, things from time to time, but the prospect of turning it back to 1844, and we know that date because we had Darren Rubino from Hanover College date the wood. We know that that this was the original Archibald Taylor house. He lived there with his family. His wife is buried at Spring Hill. His kids are all buried at Spring Hill. So there's a strong connection to Madison, and this house is number 4 on the Underground Railroad list. seen. So that's what we're trying to do. We're gonna try to make it look as much like 1844 as we can. Uh, we don't have a complete list of everything that we want to do yet because we're still looking. I'd like to have wood siding, real wood siding. I'd like to have historic windows if we can find them, or if we could have somebody make them. In any case, whatever we do, we will be abiding by the Secretary's guidelines for Secretary of Interior guidelines for historic preservation. And what I've asked is that permission to work with staff as we move through this project to identify the materials and the techniques that we're going to use to take it the rest of the way.
Was the depiction of the chimney on the top, there was a chimney, is it still, any of
It's
it
still
inside?
there.
Is it still there?
Yes.
Is it functional, or do you think you can make it functional?
I would say no. I mean, we haven't really, all the fireplaces have been bricked up. We've pulled out, we've exposed 2 out of 4. We don't really know yet. We haven't gotten that far. We haven't had other fish to fry at the moment.
Sure.
But there's some indication that it has been in use in the past. There's a metal cap on top of it. So it might have been used for the furnace, but we intend to keep that fireplace. That's really unusual. If you look at the plan, the way that fireplace sits in the middle of the house, has a firebox on each floor. So there's 4 fireplaces in that fireplace, and that was originally, I suppose you could say, that the heat emanated from that fireplace through the house.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a primary feature of this house, and we really want to make sure we save that.
Mhm.
Do I think that this is great architecture? No, but it's one of these beautiful little timber frame, federal style, extremely simple. There are several of them in town. It's a 3-bay, and you know, it deserves to come back to life.
Any other questions from the board, comments?
I think it's wonderful that you're just taking on this project. Huge project.
Crazy.
The other words for it. And the question I had is, and I guess we'll go through findings of fact, but when because it's so many unknowns, and that was a question I had before, it's just like that we say this, you've got the certificate of appropriateness. I just want to make sure that in the end, then you haven't come back with, vinyl siding, and I don't think you would, but I mean, that's how I'm trying to figure out how we know that when we say go forth, because,
Well, I'll do it however you want. You know, if you want me to come back with more specific lists, at some point, I would be willing to do that. But we want, basically, our goal right now is to get the original timber frame stabilized. And to get your endorsement for this strategy, rather than try to go back to the 1890s where they turned it into a store. And you probably noticed that somebody tore off the end of this and made a porch all the way through, and then poured concrete on top of a wood floor over the basement. It's pretty radical. And I think the reason they did that is because the sill beams, probably on this end, the sill beams had rotted away. So.
Any other questions? Any questions or comments from the audience?
Ron, this doesn't really matter as far as, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. This doesn't actually apply to anything except my curiosity. I'm just wondering what your final, are you gonna sell this for someone to live in? Is this gonna be like a museum, or what are your final plans with it?
Well, it's a really, it could be a game changer for Walnut Street because it was the worst house. These corner houses are so important to the character of the block. So, you know, my thought is that it should be for a young family. That's what I'd like to do, keep it fairly simple and try to keep it in a price range that someone would actually live there. It has a really nice lot, big lot, so that's my plan. I mean, if we go, you know, if all of a sudden it starts to come up out of the ground, people see it and say, oh, well, maybe we ought to, you know, have a headquarters for the Underground Railroad. I mean, it could be, you know, but we'll see what develops, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But my assumption is it's gonna be a single-family home.
And you think taking it from where it is now and actually breaking even or maybe even making a profit, that you'll be able to avoid putting so much money into it that a young family couldn't even afford it?
Well, it's possible. I mean, I don't wanna talk about it, my wife's back here.
There you go.
I mean, you know, life is short. Let's do things. Let's do things. You know, I hope that we can break even. But if we don't, we don't.
Because that would be the most amazing demonstration of practicality. Is saying, why, you know, tear this down and put up some vinyl-sided thing of 2x4s that is not going to last 100 years, when you've got this wonderful, these timber-framed lease.
Yes, the thing that is in our favor, there are two things. One is we didn't pay much for it, obviously.
Yeah.
Number two is if the city fathers smile on us, the PACE grant would help quite a bit.
Sure.
But we're in it to win it. So I think if you were asking me what I'd prefer, I would prefer the COA, and you trust me to do a good job, and I promise to work with staff every step of the way.
I think from the staff's viewpoint, I think as long as we, you know, as long as there's not a question, I think we're okay. I mean, when there becomes a question about which direction the project is taking, that's when I think then it comes back to the board. And I think you're, and again, I applaud you for what you're trying to do. And I've taken on a couple of these myself, and one of them didn't make it, but this one is definitely something that's got some good history. It's got some good provenance, and we do appreciate you taking it on.
It's
So,
an important story that
Sure.
goes with it.
and I'll be interested to see what kind of findings of fact we have for this, Brooke.
I have a question for you. Do I need a building permit since everything is repair?
I would say
Wrong
yes.
board.
I would say yes on that. If I may suggest to the board,
Sure.
if the board is considering or maybe wanting to put an insurance, as the applicant stated, he is going to adhere to local guidelines and Secretary of Interior or SOI standards. The board could put that in as a condition of the motion, because we know the applicant is going to follow those. And so that ensures that as long as guidelines are followed, he can work with staff on specific details like doors, windows, siding. If the board chooses to move forward to make a motion to approve the project as a whole, as it currently has been applied. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, I think the other thing that should be included in the motion would be the fact you're going to adhere to the original footprint of the home.
Yes.
And I think that's important as well, so. But,
And
Sure.
I will note before we get into findings of fact.
Sure.
This is a very unique situation. And so we do not have custom tailored guidelines to fit situations such as this. So Nicole and I had decided to apply the additions guidelines to this. So I recognize that many may be non-applicable.
Okay.
But it fit better than a new dwellings. So I apologize in advance, whoever has to do the findings of fact.
Do I have any volunteers for the findings of fact? Oh, Owen will take the findings of fact. Thank you, Owen.
Oh, and hit your mic, please.
Okay, so, but now here we have new construction. Are you saying that you and Nicole have decided that's not the appropriate set of guidelines?
No, what we're saying is that the new construction additions guidelines fit better than new construction, period. If that makes sense.
I can see that.
Okay.
'Cause-
So these seem to fit a little bit better than just a blank lot with a new house built on it.
Right, oh, I see. So here we have additions, right. I
Right.
get it, I get it. Okay. Okay, so the overall proportions of a new addition should be, this is a little odd because this is gonna sound weird. It's gonna sound like it doesn't fit, but I understand how it does, yeah. Oh, I thought it was on, sorry. Yes, this is gonna sound weird because it's not really an addition, but this is the best fit. Okay, so proportions of the new addition should be compatible with the existing building in height, scale, size, massing, so as not to overpower it. Doesn't make a lot of sense here in this case. New addition should never be taller or wider. Okay, so just going, no reason to read all that. We're using the original footprint of the original house, so the massing and sizing is gonna be, consistent with what was there initially. Okay, so design elements will be compatible with the existing buildings. The design elements are all going to be consistent with the original 1840s building, according to the applicant. According to material, style, color, roof forms, master portions, spacing of doors and windows, they're going to go right where they are shown to belong from what's left in the post and beam construction framework that's there. Okay, so vinyl, aluminum, pressed wood are not appropriate. Okay, the applicant wants to use wood. I hope there's good enough. Those boards that were originally there will never exist again, but hopefully you can get some good enough quality wood to make it worth using that. Okay, wood windows are most appropriate, and that's what he's talking about. Okay, so I would say that, in my judgment, the applicant is perfectly within the guidelines, because he's actually trying to recreate as close as possible what was there initially. I don't know how you could ask for more than that. So yes, I would say 100% consistent with our guidelines, this application.
I agree.
Sandy Palmer agrees. Carol Ann?
I agree.
And I also agree for the same reasons. Do we have a motion?
All right. Let me do it. So, based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Ron Bateman for the, recreation of the 1844 footprint and design at 627 Walnut Street. And the applicant is agreeing to comply with Secretary of Interior guidelines and local guidelines.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you go roll call vote?
Mike Pittman,
Approve?
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Sandy Palmer,
Approve.
and Carol Ann Rogers.
Approve.
Thank you, Ron. Marlene, keep an eye on him. Thank you both. Appreciate it. Okay, we're back on track now. Our next application is Keith DeCree and Mark Timmons. Acre, sorry about that. 810 East Second.
If you will, sir, will you state your name and address, please?
Mark Timmons, 810 East Second Street, Madison.
Thank you. So this structure is a circa 1860 vernacular. It is a contributing structure zoned historic district residential. The COA request is to add on to the existing deck, to make it a total of 24 foot by 8 foot on the front, but set back 4 feet. We will go through, so this shows the addition to the deck and what the existing layout is on a site plan. These are sketches to give you an idea that they're extending what is the easternmost portion of the deck towards the front, but set back 4 feet, so it will not match the front elevation of the deck exactly. Another rendering to give an example. And that is all I have. So I will go back to this photo if that's most helpful. Or I can go back to the other, whichever the board wants.
Okay, Mr. Timmons, you have anything to add?
It's pretty straightforward. We're basically just, that whole area along that side right there is nothing more than a 4-foot walk area, like we call it the gangplank, because that's about what it's like. And we've want to open that up and just utilize that space.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
When you talk about the,
There you go.
When you're talking about the front of the house, it doesn't front on First Street, does it?
On Second Street.
Second Street, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it won't come all the way out to the front.
No, but see, what they're saying here is, an existing deck on the front, but set back 4 feet. But
It's
the
actually
picture,
on the side.
okay, it is on the side, so it's on the,
It's closer to 6 foot than it is 4 foot,
okay.
set back from the front corner.
Well, that's what I was confused, because I didn't know if the house ever sat a different way. The front to me would be on Second Street.
Correct.
But, okay, but you already have a deck there.
Yes.
You would
yes.
just want to connect to it and take it out a little bit longer to make, well, with the setback.
Right,
You want to go back to the back porch.
yes, yes.
Thank you.
And it won't have a roof over it either.
It will not,
No roof.
okay, good. All right.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, we'll do findings of fact. Sandy, you want to take us through findings of fact?
Shut it off.
okay, 27.1 is locate decks only on the rear ground level of historic buildings or other ground level where the deck is not visible from public view. To help reduce the visual impact, this deck should be recessed or set back. This one is set back, but it's perfectly in view of the public. 27.2, design decks to eliminate physical or visual damage to the significant historic architecture. I assume since there's already a deck there, this would be in conformance with that, because it's attaching it to the deck that's already there that's not historically accurate, probably. And they should be attached to historic buildings so that they be removed. I'm assuming it's compliant with that. Are there any other findings of fact? This is very difficult. In my opinion, the decks are not historically accurate, and that's right as you come into the city, that's a pretty significant structure. And so I would say I don't agree with adding, I mean, and I know that you're adding on a deck to what's already there. And if you'd asked me when you had the original deck, which you probably weren't there then,
No, I didn't.
I
know
would have
about
said no to the original deck. So I guess, to me, you're not in compliance on this, so I would not recommend a certificate of approval.
Owen?
Well, I agree with what Sandy says, except, I mean, since the deck is already there, as architecturally inappropriate as it may be, all they're asking for is just to increase the area of that deck as far as how it looks from the street. I don't think it looks any different because, I mean, a bird would see the difference, but a person who's at ground level
Shouldn't see a lot of difference.
yeah, there's not much visual difference. So I would say, that I feel like we should grant a C of A for that reason. Since it's already there,
I
And it's-
get it.
yeah, but, okay, that's fine.
Carol Ann?
I have an opinion as well. I agree with Owen in that the deck is already there. Are you going to literally take off the railing and it'll be the same railing?
Yes.
It'll all match
Yes,
along
it'll
that
all
wall?
match from the street, it won't look any different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then I agree with Owen.
And I too agree with Owen. I'll take a motion.
Hang on. I can do that. Based on this, we'll go to this one, right?
Yep.
Okay. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Mr. Mark Timmons for the proposed extending, adding on to the existing deck a 24-foot by 8-foot on the actual east side, and set back 4 feet from the front.
Yeah.
Does that describe it?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Can roll call vote? Brooke?
Mike Pittman,
Approve?
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Sandy Palmer,
Disapprove.
and Carolyn Rogers.
Approve.
You'll get your certificate of appropriateness. We had 3-1, so you get your certificate of appropriateness, and once you get that, you'll need to get the other permits needed. Make sure you get those, and you can start your project.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, I'm gonna ask for Keith Acree to come up this time. This is for 215 East Second Street.
We actually, that's correction. It's 213.
213.
Hi, I'm Keith Acree, 216 East Second Street, right across from this.
So, this structure is a circa 1925 false front commercial contributing building. It is zoned central business district. The COA request is to increase the western door opening, to 7 foot, 9 foot, and install an overhead door. So you can see the front of the structure as it is currently. This would be, the west side, which is the side we're referencing. This shows the drawing of opening from a standard size entry door to essentially an overhead door. And that is all I have. I will note that the applicant and I, in discussions about the application, if we go back to the mural photo, has stated he has been in contact with the mural artist, with plans to make any necessary adjustments to the mural once the door opening is adjusted, if approved.
Okay. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
No, that was my question.
My only question, Keith, is how much during the day is that door gonna be open? I guess that's my question.
I can't really say that. Whenever new carts come in, it won't be open. I not that much, but I have no idea. I never thought of that.
I didn't know if you wanted canvas to come down when
Make us some moving parts.
So it's gonna be an overhead door that's gonna
Yeah.
roll up and
Yes.
over? Okay,
It's gonna be flat so that the mural will be easily, you won't know that door was there.
good, because that was my big concern, was
Right.
the Patty Cooper Wells thing. I'm glad you've
I
checked.
had a meeting with Patty first thing. I wanted her approval first thing,
Thanks.
so we went in farther.
Then I have no
But
problem.
it's crucial, we have to have that to proceed with the building. We cannot, the building's useless to us without that. because it's gonna be a golf cart showroom. So if we can't get golf carts in there, what good is it?
That's true.
So,
Okay, any other questions or comments?
No, am I right to understand that the original door was probably the 7x9, what is 7x9? That was probably the size of the original door to the warehouse, the back of it.
No, why you say that?
Well,
it's still
because now
there,
it
there's a
isn't.
door there.
It's it's a smaller door.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a bigger door at one time?
I can't answer at all.
Oh, I
And
thought you-
I just know the way these old buildings sometimes are butchered up and added and taken
Okay.
from. I don't know.
Oh, because here it says, the original historic door is missing and infilled.
See, I didn't even know that.
The door that is showing, this is a 10-year-old photo, but even if we go back to the original, or not the original, but the survey photo, if you notice the door, I know it's hard to see on the, it would be the extreme left of your image here. That door was, if we go back years ago in photos, even over Google Maps, that door had been infilled with concrete block. So we estimate the door would have been an entry size, standard entry size door, but it had been infilled. We believe the current owners reopened that to make it a functional entry door as it used to have been. And then, you know, this would be obviously an expansion to make that just a little wider.
I understand.
Anything else from the board? Anything else from the audience? Seeing none, Carol Ann, will you take us through the findings of fact?
If historic doors are missing or deteriorated, damaged beyond repair, install replacement doors that match the originals. And of course, you're using a number here, this 7x9, which is probably what it was if they were moving things in and out. It wasn't just an entrance door for people. Select replacement doors carefully to match the original doors in materials, dimensions, and panel configuration. Appropriate materials may include wood or fiberglass. The new doors should be in keeping with the style and period of the building. Use historic photographs to identify details about original doors if possible. And based on that, I'm in agreement with you replacing it, but I think it would be, I don't know that the original door was an overhead door, but I don't know that that matters, does it? No. I mean, it's not like he's not putting up a walnut door.
It's the board's purview to decide that, but if we look at Secretary of Interior standards, given the location, and the era and date of the building, along with the architectural character, this would not be out of consideration if it were a federal tax credit project with Secretary of Interior standards being the benchmark.
Okay.
So does it meet or not meet?
To me, it meets the standards that we, that you have asked. How do you want me to state that?
That it meets the guidelines.
It meets the guidelines.
Owen,
I agree.
Sandy,
I agree.
Okay.
and I also agree. I'll entertain a motion.
Based on the preceding finding of fact, I move that Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Keith Ackrey for the installation of overhead door to the 213 East Second Street property.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Mike Pittman,
Approve?
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Sandy Palmer,
Approve.
and Carol Ann Rogers.
Approve.
Thank you, Keith. You'll get your C of A in the mail. Make sure you get all your other permits, though. And make sure the artist is agreement with you.
And thank you for doing the artist repaint.
Okay, is Johnny Russell, 117 Ferry Street.
Yes.
Welcome. Brooke?
Actually, if we can have the applicant state your name and address, please.
Oh, I'm
Johnny
sorry.
Russell, and address is 7854 East Henrys County Road, Mooresville, Indiana.
Thank you. All right, so this is a circa 1890 vernacular structure. It is a contributing structure zoned general business. The COA request is to replace the primary entrance door, install black chain link fencing along the metal railings, install black chain link gates at entrance to the elevated balcony, and we will go through the photos. So these photos were taken at the last survey. You can see where the chain link fencing had been installed at one time. The previous owner, prior to the current applicants, removed much of that chain link fencing, but it does still remain on the south elevation. This is the proposed door for the primary entrance. This photo shows the applicants provided to show that the chain link is existing on that south elevation. This is an inspiration photo of what the chain link gate may look like. It would be similar, may not be exact, but it would be similar. And that is all I have. So I will go back to a photo of the building unless you want a different view.
Thank you, Brooke. Mr. Russell?
Yes, we just want to repair it, replace what needs to be replaced for safety reasons. We do have a lot of grandkids that come down, so we don't want them falling off. So that's all we're trying to do there, just update it, clean it up. There's a lot of upright posts that are rotted off at the base that need to be either repaired or replaced as well, the fence as well, so it has some loose points on it. Yeah, that's all we're asking, is permission to do that. As far as the door needs to be replaced, that would, what is standard with your existing codes, I guess.
Guidelines.
Isn't it a double door right now?
No,
No, it's a single
there's
door?
a skylights on both sides of it with one single door.
That's what it is, okay. What is the intention of the building? What are you using
We
it?
are at filed for a variance for residential, they're just waiting on that to come through right now. Right now, we're just doing a cleanup, some interior painting.
Yeah, I was looking at your layout on what you had in mind to do. So you're going to live there?
It's just a vacation home, if you will. We'll still live in Mooresville full-time.
I see.
Any other questions, comments?
What is that along the peak of the roof?
That's where the sign was for the Key West Shrimp House.
Okay, I just noticed that the other day. It seemed new to me somehow. But it's not new. You're saying it was always there?
And we've not changed nothing
Yeah.
to the structure. We left everything as it is. We like the building as it is, so we're not changing nothing. It's only replacing. Eventually, once we find out what we have to do for the permits, but right now, it's just a safety of the fence.
I just couldn't
That's
believe
our
I'd never
concern.
noticed that before.
That's always been there,
Yeah,
as far
'cause
as I
it
know.
used to say Key West.
the
across.
door-
I guess, yeah.
The door you're replacing is like, if you're going up the steps, it would have been the entrance door to the old restaurant. I mean, there's another
Yes.
door in the back, but you're
Yes, I'm
talking
sorry.
about the one that's on the concrete slab.
That slab up front, yeah, that
raised
is just a
thing.
single door there. The one up, the main entrance has the skylights on both sides. That we're not changing yet or nothing like that.
Okay,
But the one up on this, by the fence right there, that was rotted, and the frame of it is rotted, interior even falling.
okay,
This
Corey,
one,
is
if I
that the
move
one,
my
is that
arrow
the one that you're
right
doing?
here? That's the one you're
No,
referring to?
not that one. No, it's back up
This
to,
one?
to the,
Or-
This
the
one?
next one, yeah, right up in here, about just past
Right
those
here?
windows, you can't see it.
Okay, yep. I may have another, let's see. So it would be
You can
this
see
door
between
in
the
between the
posts.
two telephone poles,
Yeah,
right here.
Because I was looking, there were ninny doors,
yes, there is.
and that door is the one you're saying there still are two two lights
No, I'm
beside
sorry,
it?
the center one has the skylights. That
Okay,
we're
that's not what you're
changing.
doing, this is just a door.
Yeah, right. Because it is very hard to open and close.
Well, even though, because it's a historic vernacular house built in 1890, and it wouldn't have had that railing across there, it probably didn't exist at
I'm
that time.
sure it didn't.
Nah.
I would think so.
Goodness knows what it
Yeah.
had then. But because it's already there and what you're looking to do is just to run it on down,
No, we're just gonna fix and replace what we have to. We were told we would have to get a permit to do that, so that's why we're,
so what's already there, you just want to replace with the same.
yes, we're not changing, just keep the same look.
I
Just
see.
just replacing what needs to be replaced and repaired.
I see. Okay.
And there was chain link fence on the east side, like there is on the south side? Is that what you're saying?
No, down,
So if we go through the survey photos, these were taken last year. You can see the chain link was installed on the north elevation. I know the photos are blurry and I apologize. In trying to blow them up for this purposes of the meeting, they got blurry, but chain link originally or I say not originally, I'm sorry. At the time of the survey, chain link was installed along the railings. The owner prior to the Russells removed much of that chain link fencing that was installed along the railings. And so the applicants are asking to essentially put it back into place. And if I may also note, just for the board, if we go back to this photo, the southern end of this building that you're looking at that faces the river, that was an addition put on sometime estimated around the 1980s, could be the late 70s. But to the best of our records, that where the gable steps down, that portion going south is an addition. So the portion where they're asking for the door, that is a non-historic as far as contributing to the original primary structure
Okay.
addition.
Okay.
Could you just, get one picture up there, and then you could maybe go to the screen, and just point where you are actually thinking, so it's really clear where you're wanting to put the fencing?
we're just replacing what's there, all the way around this, right there.
Right there.
Not replacing, but repairing. There's a few of these posts that rotted at the base that need to be repaired as well.
Mhm.
And then on the back side back here, you see where it's missing, and then reinstall that as well.
So on this whole side, you're not adding,
No,
so you're going to go up to where these steps are, repairing?
yeah, there's, you repair what's here, then on the back side, you'll see what's missing, then we'll replace what's missing there.
And you can still find that product?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you see where it's missing in that corner right there.
So you're gonna take the chain link fence to the corner and then down to meet the other piece
No.
of chain? No.
No, we'll stop it right there where it's at.
Okay,
But if you see the post is, or the bottom rail is missing, rotted off,
sure.
and that corner post right there, we're just gonna fix that and put
Okay,
a door right there to keep people from wandering around back through there.
sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Or I should say a gate, a fence,
And the gates will be
Yeah.
where?
right there on that corner.
Where you're replacing the
Yes,
fencing?
where it's
And
missing.
that's the only gate, or there's a gate where the steps are?
No, if we allow it, put one back up by the steps to keep them around going to the very front of it, especially little kids, stuff like that, just not wanting to fall them off.
Well, the gate doesn't bother me at all if and because the fencing is already there, I understand your need for wanting to put there, because you weren't the person who put the original there
Correct, we are
anyway,
not.
for whatever reason. So the gates make sense for you to be using it with a lot of children around or for protection. And even the door, I wasn't familiar, I didn't know that had been added, you said in the 80s maybe?
Yeah, that whole front part.
That, if we go back to
That-
this photo.
Yeah,
Where the gables step down,
right.
that very southernmost portion where the step down is, that is an addition. We're estimating late 70s, early 80s, more likely 80s on that but that was not part of the original historic structure, no.
Right. Okay.
Any more questions, comments? Any questions or comments from the audience? Owen, got another findings of fact in you?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right, section 9, doors and entrances. 9.5, if historic doors are missing or deteriorated beyond repair, install replacement doors that match the originals, but of course we don't have originals anywhere, so there's nothing to match. Select replacement doors carefully to match them. Okay, appropriate materials may include wood or fiberglass. Let's see. Keeping with the style and the period of the building, but I mean, this is an industrial building, a button factory from a long time ago. I don't think we need to try to match whatever kind of door a button factory might have had, if we could even figure that out. So, okay, this door is Craftsman, which is not the style of this time period, but I mean, again, it's being made into a residence rather than an industrial building, so I don't see a problem with having a Craftsman design, style door, if that's what appeals to you. Well, I guess technically it's not consistent with the guidelines. Okay. 20.9 on fences. Contemporary or utilitarian fence materials are not appropriate. Inappropriate materials include chain link. Okay. But that's what's there. It's been there. He's essentially just repairing what was there. So I don't feel like we can, at this point, say, no, you have to tear all the chain link down. If none of it had been there and we were asking to be put up chain link as something completely new, that would be different. But
Right.
This is chain link that's been there for decades, so I don't see a problem with repairing the chain link that's there.
That's
Though,
all we're
again, technically, it violates the guidelines.
That's it.
Okay, that's it. So, given that, I feel as though even though this proposal may be in technical violation of the guidelines, that it should be approved nonetheless for the reasons that I've stated.
Sandy?
I agree for the same reasons, and I agree with what he said as far as, I don't think the Craftsman doors particularly, but I don't know what a button factory door looked like either. And you're just replacing existing, not adding to,
Correct.
so I agree.
Caroline?
I agree with him.
And I also agree. I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. Based on the preceding finding of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Johnny Russell for the proposed new door and chain link fencing at 117 Ferry Street.
May we also include the gate, please, or specify?
Oh, yes, two
what?
bids.
The gates.
Oh, and also a chain link gate to go along with the chain link fencing.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Brooke?
Carolyn Rogers,
I approve.
Sandy Palmer,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
and Mike Pittman.
Approve. You will get your COA in the mail, and you can begin your project. Is there any permits for this?
Yes, so they are pending, zoning board, as well as building permits and whatnot, but this is the first step, so congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that.
Appreciate your time.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Our next application is Alex Hammock / Roger Welch, 1030 East First Street.
Alex Hammock, 919 West Main Street.
Roger Welch, I guess give him a home address, 599 North Middle Cedar Road, Madison, Indiana.
Thank you. Brooke?
So this currently is a vacant lot. It is zoned Historic District Residential. The COA request is to build a new 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath single-family home with a basement to include a 2-car garage, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and storage. The specific details may be worked out at a later date, but it is for a new family or new residential structure. So we can go through and look at the plat map to show which tract this will be on. These are new photos that the applicant submitted as for inspiration for the new structure. The overall design elements of this would be something that the applicants are interested in. So this would be the First Street view, correct? Okay.
Right.
And then this would be the riverfront view.
Right.
These were submitted with the application originally, so this would be the riverfront view. It's not very much, extremely much of a difference.
That's the First Street view.
Oh, I apologize. This is the First Street view. This would be the riverfront view. And then we're looking at a potential floor plan. And that is all I have. So I'm going to go back to this photo, if that's fine with the applicants, but we can switch back and forth as needed.
Thank you, Brooke. Anything to add?
I can add, this is a single-family home. It's gonna be a 1-story house with a basement. The lot is sloped, and it's gonna be, I would say, in accordance with the neighborhood for other houses that we've currently have been approved for down the street. So it's just sort of moving down the row a little bit, and I think that this, front looks more to what we're wanting to do. I would say that Roger might wanna have a couple bigger windows and stuff like that, so that's really the difference of the look, would just be like larger windows and that kind of thing.
And then also, Brooke, if we could change to the river view and see what, a lot of what Alex's homes have already got on First Street is a 1-car garage coming in. So we threw this in at the last minute to give you a little bit of a profile of that single garage door down there. And what I will probably end up doing, either on the east or west end of the basement, put a 2-car garage. That will probably be about 2 9-by-8 doors on one end or the other. And possibly put just one down below and keep with continuity of another one as getting older. To eliminate the steps. You know, and basically, so there's what we got going.
When you say you're gonna add the 2-car, Roger, you talking about in the existing profile or adding it out
Yeah, you
on
can
the
see
side?
the one, you can't hardly look,
Yeah.
almost looks like a big double door down there on the far,
Right,
it'd be downstairs on the far west end.
okay.
And that's a single garage door.
Mhm.
And I would probably put 2 instead, 2 9-by-7s and 9-by-8s close together, and so you wouldn't have, you could put a great big large wide garage door, but you don't wanna lose all that heat, and
Sure.
nowadays smaller vehicles.
Okay, I drove back there to look at that property because the other 3 that are on the far end are coming along there that we had approved. Are you gonna be accessing it by car from the dirt road, or is that gonna get paved for you?
We are hoping to have it, we're hoping to talk to the city about extending the road, or, you know, depending on the projects, if we have to, as a builder or the subdivision developer, pave
Okay.
that road from First Street. So
Okay.
it would just be,
Because
you know, paving it to the dead end, we wouldn't be extending it any further, it'd just be to where that current road ends.
Okay, and I noticed there's a sign down there, no turnaround. So somebody doesn't want you to go any further than right there. And I just wondered how you're gonna handle that. But you will probably access your garage, of course, from Ferry Street? What is that
It's,
street?
Fillmore.
Fillmore,
But
okay.
there would also be a parking spot up top, so.
Okay.
If, guests, that way they could go to the front entrance instead of, this is technically the back.
Yes, yes, I see, I got you. Thank you.
And then, some materials we're looking to use would be either brick or stone, and that would be for the foundation bottom, and then maybe some accents up top. So, sort of like what we're already doing down the road, we have brick foundation and then a cementous siding on top. So that was the plan. I also believe Roger was hoping to do either shingle or possibly standing seam, roof, but I'm most,
A shake-looking shingle or a standing seam metal roof to kind of keep in with the continuity of, and I will put my little touch of 19th century on it. You know,
Yes, I would imagine you would, sir.
but it's,
this, I think, was a good layout, that shows you what the view would look like. And it is, from the river, it's technically like a double decker, so
Sure.
the deck would go across the whole thing. I think the only addition really would be maybe some larger windows so that you do get the full view. And, the trim that Roger would make. And then we were also, talking about aluminum clad windows instead of vinyl, like we have done
go
on
with
the
a
rest of the
Marvin
houses.
or something like that, a Marvin window.
Wonderful.
And then I do wanna say, he did mention possibly, a one-car garage up on the main floor. I just wanna, in case he needs it for later use, so I do wanna add that there may be an entrance from the top. It's not in the photos, but the other houses on the street that we are building,
Right.
all the garages are on the main floor, and we don't
Right.
have any on the bottom.
Okay.
But you would have two.
Are those other houses, are they all the same square footage as this one? This looks bigger.
This one is a little bit bigger, I'd
That's
say
good.
about 10 foot wider.
Okay. Thank you.
It should be appropriate, to the rest of the houses. I don't think it would be overbearing at
And
all.
elevations are similar.
Yes.
Right.
Very nice.
Any other questions, comments? Any questions or comments from the audience?
Vicky Young, 1032 Park. I have a couple of questions. I wasn't prepared for the all-new pictures. If you're standing down below and you look up at it, the federal building is at 1030 Park. So I'm just wondering how this is going to look with that as the backdrop. The windows are very modern. It looks like on this side, on the other side, I'm not sure what you had planned there.
Yeah, that's the first street.
Yeah. It doesn't look very historic, but, it's got a nice long porch and that.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, ma'am.
Yeah, I like the porch. I wasn't too sure about the windows fitting
Oh.
in with the federal right next door. Then the other thing was, we were wondering about where you'd be parking, and if the street is now only 14 feet wide, well, I walked off like 8 feet, and it goes into a ditch. So I was concerned where you would be parking, if you're going to have a garage on top and a garage on the bottom both. That whole area floods down below, so we were wondering, if you would have parking up on the top of East First Street. And, there wouldn't be enough room, to get past anybody that's parked there.
They wouldn't have parking on the street, we would be
Be all
parking
street
on our
park.
land.
It'd be
All street
all
park.
in the, okay, so, yeah, I was wondering if you had guests or anything. I own the barrel. Because there are, cars, motorcycles, and golf carts turn,
Okay.
they have to pull up into the yard to
Okay.
turn around down there. So, my concern is with the road, how that's going to, accommodate. But, that's a beautiful design, I just wanted to fit in with the.
Did she
Yeah.
clarify,
They'll all be double hung windows. Now, whether they be 4 over 4, 6 over 6, 2 over 2, that have, you know, it'll be more that looks a little more modern. It'll be more 19th century.
Yeah, you were saying you were gonna add your touches, I mean,
Yeah,
what your touches were gonna be. Okay, I think you're fine, you've answered my question, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, Brooke, you'll give us findings of fact. Caroline, you want to take this one?
Sure. Maintain a similar front, side, and rear yard setback to other historic buildings, which it really doesn't apply at this moment. Maintain the pattern of building separation and lot coverage, which it appears that you have done. Place outbuildings. You don't have any outbuildings, do you? Okay, it doesn't really apply. Minimize ground disturbance during new construction, avoid unnecessary damage to unknown archaeological resources. Huh. If an artifact dating prior to 1870s discovered, of course you probably already know that because of the other houses, do you? New construction should have heights consistent with neighboring dwellings along the block. Make the scale of the proposed building compatible with the scale of contributing structures along the block or side of street.
You're not done yet.
I'm not done yet. You turned my page, didn't you? Design the proportion, the ratio to height and width of the proposed new building and its architectural elements to be consistent with the proportion of contributing buildings and their associated architectural elements on the block or the side of the street. I see that you've done that because those other houses are very similar but a little bit smaller. Use windows and doors in new construction that are compatible in proportion, shape, location, pattern, and size with windows and doors of contributing buildings on the block or the side of the street. Keep the siding and trim material of the proposed building consistent with the materials traditionally used on the immediate block and in the historic district. Wood siding, wood shingles is typically found in gables of Victorian. That doesn't really appeal here or apply. And brick were common sheathing materials and should be used. The use of substitute products such as vinyl, aluminum, pressboard siding may be appropriate. Use of fiber cement siding may be approved for use on new structures. If this type of siding is used, it should have a smooth exterior finish, not grained to resemble wood. In all instances, every effort shall be made to ensure the new structure and the application of modern-day products achieve compatibility with existing historic buildings that define the character of the Madison Historic District. Am I done? Sorry?
No, I believe this is the last. Nope, you have two more.
Okay. Y'all might want to sit down and have a glass of water.
Yep. Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, two more. So sorry, this one and one more.
Okay. Use materials in traditional ways. New materials should appear as if they were applied in a traditional manner so as to convey the same visual appearance as historically used and applied building materials. Vinyl clad and vinyl frame windows may be used in new construction. I think you all already know that, provided that the surrounding window trim and the muntin pattern are appropriate to the architectural style and period of the structure. If the windows have divided lights, they shall be either true divided lights, TDL, or simulated divided lights, SDL, which have three-dimensional grills on both the interior and the exterior sides and a shadow bar. Snap-in grills or grills between the glass are not appropriate. Use architectural details on the building that complement the architectural details of contributing structures on the block or the side of the street. Provide a date brick or other exterior date identification marker on all new construction to assist future generations. 100 years from now, somebody's going to say, look at that, that's kind of neat. Create a new construction, a similar degree of texture as that found in contributing buildings in the historic district. Texture is the relief on a building surface that's achieved through use or interaction of a variety of building materials and shapes. Materials such as weatherboard siding and decorative fish scales shingles are examples of architectural elements that have different physical and visual qualities and contribute to the texture of a building surface. Design new construction that reflects the basic shapes and forms on the block and in the historic district. Maintain consistency with styles of buildings and contributing structures found on the block or on the side of the street. Roof forms commonly found in historic district include gable varieties with an average pitch of 712 or greater and hipped roofs. Maintain similar percentages and patterns of window and door openings consistent with the style of buildings. Openings which vary considerably from the established patterns found on the block in which the new construction is placed will have a disruptive effect on the desired streetscape harmony.
Congratulations.
Good job, Caroline.
Well, that wore me out.
Does this project meet the finding of facts?
The project does meet the finding of fact, just based on what I have seen them already do and present to us, and this is very similar. And I think it's gonna be a great addition to that area.
Sandy?
I agree with the same reasons.
Owen?
I agree for the same reasons.
And I also agree for the same reasons. Can we get a motion? Good job.
I could do that.
Okay,
I have to read it, though.
that's all right.
Okay. The chair, oh, no, wait a minute. Based on the proceedings findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to, wait a minute. No, wrong one. Alexandra Hammock and Roger Welch, to the location 1030, it is 1030. East First Street, okay. For the proposed application to build a new 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, single-family home with basement to include a 2-car garage, perhaps 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and storage, right? It could be a 1 or a 2-car garage, right? You're still not sure about the basement?
Yeah, it'd probably be either 2 down and
And 1
2
up.
down, or either 1 down and 1 up.
Okay. I see, okay.
I will get older one of these days.
Okay.
Could put it shared.
There. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Brooke,
Mike Pittman,
approve?
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Sandy Palmer,
Approve.
and Carolyn Rogers.
Approve.
Roger, you've been to this dance before, but
Thank you very much.
Alex, you'll be getting your certificate of appropriateness, and I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of building permits, so, a lot of other permits, so,
That's the next step.
thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Okay, Andy Crabtree at 1018 Park Avenue.
Same neighborhood, but a lot smaller footprint. My name's Andy Crabtree. I live in 3831 Marsh Road, Switzerland County, and I own 1018 Park Avenue,
Okay,
and we're requesting to put a deck on.
okay, Brooke?
Yep, so, this is a circa 1960 vernacular structure. It is a non-contributing structure zoned historic district residential. As the applicant stated, the COA request is to add a 4-foot by 12-foot by 20-foot by 8-foot deck on the rear of the home. And so you can see the, survey photo of the home from the street front, site plan of showing where the deck is going to be located. Overhead, eagle's eye view, so to speak. And these are inspiration photos. The applicant and I spoke about this at length. He may go wood, he may go Trex composite decking for the actual deck material on the floor. But either way, it's going to be a traditional deck design, similar to what you see in the photos, not exact, like I said, inspiration. This is just a photo showing what composite decking looks like at a more up-close angle. And that is all I have. So I will go back to this photo, this photo, if that helps.
Uh-huh.
That is all I have.
Is there anything to add?
Oh, sorry.
You keep quiet.
It's a two-story, 450 square feet, both walkout ground level, and actually the first level from the park is your ground level also. So taking the first floor out and walking onto a deck to view the river, it would be elevated to the necessary height, 8 foot or whatever projected. And then you would be able to walk out from the inside of the living room to the deck. We kicked it over to the right-hand side so that we could make steps going back towards park so that you could access the deck, not through the house. So that's kind of the shape that we had. We're within, well, we got over 9 foot there between the property line and the side of the house. Just to add so we can enjoy the river view.
Okay.
Okay, now go, Carol.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you. You're gonna access it from the top floor.
Yes,
Okay, so you're gonna make a door there. Is there a door there? I
there
can't
is
remember.
not. There's 2 windows right there.
That's right. Okay,
And we're gonna basically take those windows and put either a French door or a sliding porch.
perfect. Okay, I
Yeah.
see. Okay, so that's why you wanted it to turn, so you all could get down off of it and you don't have to go through the house.
Right.
I got you.
So.
I just
will
have a-
The board, I apologize. Go ahead, Sandy.
No, my question is just, this drawing, where you have 1018 Park, is that actually Park? That's 56? This, and I'm looking at the house this way, or tell me where the back,
North is the left side, which is actually where the line is not.
that's the,
That's
the front?
roadside.
Okay.
Yeah. So
This
we're
is-
100% into the back of the house.
Okay.
If you
That
can go
was
back
just-
to the picture of the house. There. So actually, the right-hand side is where the steps would be, like you're going towards that tree. So you'd be able to access there, and the porch would actually be off. The only thing that'd be viewed from the river, from the road, park, will be the steps on the right-hand side of the house. Rest of it will be behind the house, on the rear.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments?
Nope, works for me.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, we do findings of fact. Sandy, you ready?
Locate decks only on the rear ground level of historic buildings. Reduce the visual impact. The size of the deck should be recessed or set in from each rear corner rather than flush. It looks like this is in performance on the one side. The only one would be the stairway coming up from the right. Design decks to eliminate physical or visual damage to significant historical architectural features. You've already said this is enough to the historic structure. Decks should be attached to the historic building so that they can maybe be removed. And copper flashing to eliminate moisture damage to the historic structure. I think I would recommend a certificate of appropriateness for the building of this deck.
Owen?
I agree for those reasons.
Carol Ann?
I agree for those reasons.
And I also agree for the same reasons. Brooke, can we have a roll call vote?
We actually need a motion first, please.
I didn't, yes.
Well, let's do that first then.
Okay, I based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Andy Crabtree for the building of a 4 by 12 by 20 by 8 foot deck on the rear of the home at 1018 Park Avenue.
If I may, real quick interject, the applicant did mention stairs that will be on the, as you're viewing from the road on Park Avenue to the right-hand side, which would be our western side of the building. The board has a couple of options. One, you can, say as applied, which includes his amendment for the steps, or to specify the steps, either which way, but it would be something the board should consider to include in the motion.
So, and I amend what I just said about the dimensions of the deck, including steps on the west side of the property at 1018 Park Ave.
Does that work, Andy?
Yes.
Does that work for that? I guess which is a traditional design deck, either wood or composite tracks.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
Now, can we do a roll call vote?
Yep. Carolyn Rogers,
Approve.
Sandy Palmer,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
and Mike Pittman.
Approve. You'll get your certificate of appropriateness in mail. You probably need a couple permits, but, go ahead and get those and you'll get your permit from us. Thank you for
Thank you very
applying.
much.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
Okay, our next application is Jacqueline Green at 1215 West Main.
I'm Jackie Green. I recently bought this house, and I apologize, those pictures are from when our renter was there, so it actually already looks better than it does in the photos. But I would like to add, where you'll see on the left side of the photo, there is a small deck that's currently there. And you see the door straight ahead, but there's also one tucked in the corner there that leads into the kitchen. When the rain comes down that steep roof, it comes in that side door, and so it's affecting the floor there. So I would like to add a deck, a roof over that deck, the existing deck, and it's going to be the same materials as the roof, which I am getting a quote from the Pettix on getting a new shingled roof, but that's later down the road. But I just want to make sure that, the roof that I would like to add over the existing deck, the roof material will match the roof material of the house.
That's asphalt shingle?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And there is it's a rough draft picture that I drew of where I was gonna put the proposed roof over that little deck there. And it's in orange. To the right side of the screen, sorry, like I said, I was just using a highlighter. I didn't have a computer-aided design program. But so the house is turned sideways in this photo, so up toward the right side where you'll see that square, it's like 9 by 12. That's where the existing deck is, and I just want to put a little roof over that, like I said, to protect that doorway and the flooring
Oh,
when the rain were to come in. Because when we get those hard rains and that steep roof, it just comes straight down. I've put weather stripping and everything along the door, and it's still just, it's just hard to protect that. So, and then on the far left of the screen is it's the very back side along the alley, which is the south side of the house. That's where I would like to put a proposed carport, and there's a photograph I believe that Brooke had inserted of a carport that I'm proposing, which is similar to a couple carports that are already down there. And then there are on both sides of my property, there are actually garages, existing garages. So I would just like to put a carport just to protect my vehicles.
like that, okay.
As the applicant stated, that's an inspiration photo, so the roof shape may not be identical, et cetera, but it would be a similarly styled metal carport.
And I would like to add, I am a realtor in this town, so I'm very vested in making sure that all the properties increase in value. So I will definitely make sure that they're, it's of good quality material and done right.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
Well, does it have to be architecturally, because it's gonna be just the open area, it's not gonna be a garage, right?
Correct.
It's not an enclosed garage?
Correct. And there is a similar carport 2 doors down from me that's similar to that, and that's just a rendering.
Okay, I
Because
missed
I
that
don't,
one.
don't have the
Okay.
exact, now I stopped at, the, place on Interstate Block, the Yoders have their, building properties, these little sheds and things, so it's gonna be a quality that I'll have there.
Okay,
And I can do the similar, materials.
and it's on a concrete base?
It will be, yes. Currently, it's just grass, but I'm gonna have, like I said, I've got an estimate to get it paved there before the carport's installed. But it's currently parking back there. It's just on grass.
You can only see that from the alley though, right?
Yes, yes, correct. That's correct.
Do you have any idea, like, what is the roofing over the little deck area where the water comes in? What's the shape of that?
There's currently no roof there.
No, what do you plan there?
Oh, a shingle, like a shed roof with shingles to match the house, the shingles on the house.
That would, and it'll be like a gable, look at a, just come out straight, which direction?
It's gonna come out, to the, east side, just at a slight angle and with a guttering so that it will, all the water will draw away from the house.
And are you gonna match your posts that are on your front porch?
Yes, sir, I apologize, I forgot about that. I'm
Okay.
gonna match the post so that it's all similar in the front there.
Okay, anything else from the board? Questions, comments?
Well, I noticed that it doesn't necessarily fit in conformance because it's talking about the porch roof will be visible from the street. But, we just looked at a house that was built similar to this. And, they had a roof over the back of their small porch that came out of their house. And to me, even though it says that's not the way this was built in 1900, that may be true, but it sounds like the need overwhelms the visual to me. I'd rather have some sort of attractive roof line there that would match your other roof lines in some way with your post matching than to have the water coming in to my house. I mean, you can't even walk out your door without being hit by it.
Right.
I understand that.
And I'm open to that. I can do, whatever, when I apply for the permit for that, I can, submit so that it's appropriate with the house.
Any other comments? Okay. Any questions?
No, no.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Caroline, you want to take the findings of facts? Been picking on you.
You
Good.
have.
You read well.
The design of new garages or other accessory buildings should be compatible with dwellings in the historic district. New outbuildings should respect and blend with the architectural style and scale of the associated dwelling. Site new garages and accessory buildings appropriately on the lot. It would be at the back of the lot and it's not visible unless you drive down that tiny little alley. Locate detached new garages and outbuildings to the rear of the dwelling or setback, which she would be doing. It's not going to be an attached garage or accessory building. Materials used for the new garage and outbuilding should reflect the historical development of the property. If you went with what you liked there at first, to me, that's not as historical as maybe something else, another design you might could come up with.
I would probably do a wood frame. I just in the lack of time, I just had
Oh.
the metal one was available.
Materials used for exterior facades of garages and outbuildings were often different and less costly than that of the main dwelling. Materials that are appropriate for a new secondary building include wood or brick. If frame buildings are constructed, no, you're not doing that. Let's see. Materials such as T111, siding, plywood, and oriented strand board, no, that doesn't apply. Generally, the eaves and roof ridge of any new building should not be higher than those of the existing primary building. But that's a slight downslope, is it not, from your house down to where your car is?
Yes, ma'am.
No. Okay. The creation of a false historical appearances, such as adding Victorian ornament to a plain early 20th century porch, is not appropriate, and you wouldn't be doing that. Use architectural details, ornamentation. Now, I'm thinking mostly this is about the outbuilding and not the porch.
No, this is.
Those were the previous slide was the outbuilding guidelines, these
Oh,
are the
sorry,
porch guidelines.
sorry. This
You're
is
fine.
for the the Madison Historic Design guidelines for the porches, 14.0 porches, pages 68 through 70. Sorry. So, use architectural details and ornamentation that are compatible with the style, period, and detailing of the porch and structure. Such features as the new metal columns or wrought iron posts, overscaled columns, metal or plastic balustrades are not appropriate. It's not appropriate to add new porches, entrances, or balconies to primary elevations or other areas of a building that are seen from the public view if none existed historically.
That's all we have on guidelines.
Okay. Well, I agree with it to an extent, but I sincerely see her need for the use of the small porch to preclude her getting water coming in her house. And if she uses the columns, I think it wouldn't be so obtrusive that it would detract from the historical look of the house. In general, I would approve it.
Owen?
Okay, I think, first of all, the carport, is, since it's on the alley, and she said she's probably gonna make something out of wood anyway, I think there's not a problem there. However, where the porch goes, since we're talking about putting, because this is a porch, there's a deck there, we're talking about putting a roof over it, so to me, that now is a porch. Okay, so 1412 says it is not appropriate to add new porches to a building their areas are seen from public view if none has existed historically. So to me, this will be a major impact on the street view of this house. I think any kind of water problems can be dealt with by changing the guttering, having a downspout right in that corner, something else. I don't think that the only solution to this is to add a roof over that deck. That will, to me, look very inappropriate for that house, so.
I did have American Seamless Gutters come and to give a quote on that, because that was my first choice also. And he did state because of the steepness of the roof, you'd have to have like 2-foot gutters because of the steepness of the roof, the way it is. It just is always going to go down and over. He said there's just no size of guttering that would capture without having because of the torrential rains that we have, it just will always go over the guttering with this, the amount of rain. So I did consider that, and he just said that it wasn't, and he does a lot of guttering throughout this area. American Seamless Gutters is a company that does a lot of guttering in the area, so.
Okay, so to me, the carport is within the guidelines, but the porch is not.
Sandy?
I agree that there's no issue with the carport, especially going with the wood and the frame in the back and what's back there. And I think that putting a roof over the porch is, you're not in conformance, so I can't agree to that. I mean, you're not meeting the guidelines of that, so how we do a certificate of appropriateness for the garage, I would agree with that, but not for the porch.
Is there something that you could suggest that I would do?
Well, we're
Because
doing
the guttering is
yeah,
not.
Excuse me, we're doing findings of facts right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all
I'm
right.
sorry.
Brooke, would you put the original picture up of the front of the house? Yeah, if that was if she was talking about putting a porch on the front, and I consider the primary facade being the one where the sidewalk comes in, I think that's more of a secondary, and we can argue about semantics, but I don't see an issue with her putting a roof over that section back there in the back. I think that would be beneficial to her and also make it also nice to sit out there.
It does
the roof
set
over.
back quite a bit.
So it does set back quite a bit. So to me, that is not the primary facade. That's more of a secondary. So I would say, agree with Carol Ann that it would be appropriate. So with that, I'll take a motion.
Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness, to Jacqueline Green, to add a carport on the back side of the house, 24 by 20 by 7 metal carport in the backyard driveway area, and build a roof over the existing wood deck on the east side of the home.
1217,
Sorry,
1215 West Main.
at 1215 West Main.
Do I have a second? I will second it. Give a roll call vote, Brooke?
Carol Ann Rogers,
I approve.
Sandy Palmer,
I don't approve.
Owen McCall,
Do not approve.
and Mike Pittman.
Approve. Vote was 2-2. It takes 4 noes to get turned down, so you will get your certificate of appropriateness in the mail. Make sure you get your permits before you start your construction.
I will, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Aaron Grubbs from 1019 Walnut Street.
Oh, is he not here? I don't see him.
Are we missing somebody?
Yeah,
Or one of you
Yeah.
3 people, Aaron Grubbs back
No,
there?
Aaron's a real big guy.
what we can do is, we can fund this as incomplete, since there is no representation,
Okay,
and move it forward to, the next meeting date,
okay.
if the board chooses.
Then do you notify him?
Yes, he and I have been in contact, and, I believe it was probably, I'm not gonna presume.
Okay.
So, it's up to the board. The board has 2 course of actions. Typically, the first calling of an application, such as this, where the applicant has never appeared before the board, the board can declare it incomplete, table it to the next, hearing date, or, the board can consider the application without the applicant present, as we have done in the past, but that has typically only been done, when the application has been heard with the applicant present and then continued, and the applicant did not appear. So it's up to the board on which course of action you would like to take.
Table it till the next meeting.
Table it?
I am too.
Looking at, it was pretty straightforward what.
I agree, it's straightforward,
Do you have a picture of the, do you have the picture of the secondary structure?
and it's not historic at all.
These are the photos that he provided to me. I can go through the slides if you'd like, so let me just go back through this, and we don't have to make this formal by any means. I know you can all read, so I won't go through everything on this, but the applicant is looking to put a pre-built 12 by 20 storage barn to the existing concrete foundation. So if you look at the site plan, it's going to go in between existing structures. I will note that this is a flood area, and so the applicant is going through permitting through the state for flood permitting and special considerations. Regardless of whether the board does or does not pass a COA, the applicant still has to obtain permitting from the state and from local building inspector guidelines. So what he is proposing is a wooden storage building to be 12 by 20, anchored to the existing concrete pad. The pad currently is 14 by 30. He does mention paint color, which is beyond the purview of the board, so I won't go into those details. This is the sketch that the applicant provided to me of what the proposed building would look like. And that's all I have. Again, I would say it's up to the board, but typically when we do not have an applicant present for the first calling of the application, typically the board does table it as an incomplete. That way it gives the applicant due process and time to speak on the application. However, it is the board's decision on that. I would highly encourage you to table, but that is the board's decision.
I would recommend we table, because he's got, those other permits are critical before he can do anything anyway, so. What do you guys think?
Fine.
Do we need a motion?
No, not for an incomplete.
Okay.
Okay.
New old business, or old new business, which is it?
I don't have anything.
Any new business?
Unless the board does.
How about old business? Okay, staff report?
All right, so we'll go through our August fast track. Sorry if this is kind of small. I was trying to limit my number of slides. I know we had a longer meeting. So we had Tina Stambaugh at 116 Jefferson Street replace the existing shingle roof with a standing seam metal roof. Rachel Fox and Betty Jeffries at 129 East Main Street. They changed up their signage. So they're installing vinyl sign on the front windows, installing a 40-inch by 48-inch polymetal sign at a right angle on the front of the building, and install a 40-inch daisy on the front of the building. So the sign that was existing has been removed, and this will go up. These are not in addition to the existing sign. Paul and Teresa Walters, 618 East 2nd Street. This was in an abundance of caution. You can see the small nature of these signs. They're almost like wooden pickets that you would put in a garden. But out of an abundance of caution, we went ahead and did an application for these as signage. So it's a 12-inch by 24-inch and a 15-inch by 24-inch freestanding wooden sign that will be, like I said, essentially like a little small garden sign in the yard to help guests and clients with directionalities for various parts of the business. Joseph Jackson at 701 East Main Street to replace the existing wood and brick porch columns, which they were craftsman-style columns that were installed in circa 1940. He is replacing those with full wood columns and railings to match the architectural details of the home. So in this situation, that was one of those homes where our wonderful brick salesman in the 40s that had so many of the brick lattice work porches installed, that is going away, and the porch is being rehabbed to look similar to what it would have originally. Then we have Lisa Ferris at 803 East 2nd Street. She is going to replace existing deteriorated wood windows with aluminum-clad wood windows of the same shape, size, and design. I did do a staff review of those windows, and they were beyond 80%. So now we go to our 2022 COA review. We have Katie Beck at 206 East Main Street. They are restoring the historic appearance of the storefront located at the same address based upon photographic evidence that is still in progress, as you can see by the scaffolding still on the street. Paula Bell at 229 West Main installed one vinyl sign on each front primary window of the storefront for a total of 2 signs. That has been done. Eric Shuck at 308 East 3rd Street replaced a damaged front entry door with a new 3/4 light wood and glass entry door. That has been completed. Matthew Barron at 504 East Street replaced windows on the rear and sides of the structure with aluminum-clad wood windows, installed a seamless high-capacity gutter. That has been done. Jeff and Sherry Knox at 628 West Street replaced a standing seam metal roof with an asphalt shingle roof, and that has been completed. Michael O'Day at 803 Fillmore Street, complete the project as submitted, and this was a board motion, so I apologize if it's a bit ambiguous, but what it was is that he was doing a rear deck railing, windows, and siding. That has been done. Kevin and Linda Malloy at 816 West 2nd Street add a roof over the existing patio. That has been done. Chad Gray at 124 East Street to construct a 20-foot awning extending the rear roof of the structure that has been completed. Mark Vaterna at 716 West Third Street to install an exposed fastener metal roof, wood garage door, and one 32-inch by 48-inch aluminum-clad window on the gable peak. This was for the garage that was being built behind the primary house, so the garage faces Presbyterian. We also have Paul and Teresa Walters at 618 East Second Street to build a garage with a small overhang. That has been done as well. And that is all I have.
Before we adjourn, I'd like to thank Brooke. This is her last board meeting, and we're going to miss you. But she's been a real asset to Madison. And whoever has the benefit of you working for her again is going to be blessed. So
Here, here.
Yeah.
we're going to miss you.
Best luck to you. too.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
We're good.
We need a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I second it.
All adjourned.
I, did you pick up my pen? No. Is this yours? Mine.
Then my pen.
This was mine.
That must be your pen.
Well, get out of here.